We have a lot of ground to cover.
I guess I just wanted to know if you wanted to share with the people that we're going to the Lestat show.
Tomorrow, June 2nd, we are going to the Vampire Lestat performance in New York City, so we're super excited about that. You have not yet finished season 2.
I know, don't shame me like that.
So, fake fan, undeserving of the ticket bestowed upon her, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the Read-Through, a podcast where I sit my friend Dani down and explain to her the plot of all of my favorite books, and maybe yours as well. This week is episode 2 of the Infernal Devices trilogy, which is the prequel trilogy to the Mortal Instruments main series. This book is The Clockwork Prince. We're going to be getting more into the love triangle. I know at the end of the last episode, you were like, I'm not really understanding the love triangle aspect because, as I said last time, this is the only non-touching love triangle that I approve of. Mm-hmm. It is 2 weeks from the event of the last book. Will has continued to be standoffish, if you recall the way that we left Will and Tessa in the last book.
I actually would never date you, you're infertile, and I could never be with you.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So in the last 2 weeks, the kind of character dynamics, they've kind of stayed the same. He's not being mean to her anymore. He's just kind of...
Are they like hooking up?
Ignoring, no.
Oh.
No, ignoring her existence.
Okay.
So Jem has been showing her around the city. They've been spending more time together. Tessa is once again feeling like bestie Jem. That's my best friend. Loving him in a friend way, which he is hating.
So it's sort of New Moon.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Just to put it in some terms I can understand.
Sure, except if Edward was still there.
Okay.
If Edward was
Edward
still
there,
there,
kind of is there in New Moon because she's psychotic. Okay.
Tessa and co, all of her group of people, they go to a council meeting to speak with the consul. Different word from council. The consul, spelled C-O-N-S-U-L. I'll try my best to differentiate the pronunciation enough.
Thank you.
But consul, who he is like the elected head official of the Shadowhunter government, right?
Okay.
She and her group go and meet with them just to talk about the events that transpired in the last book. They said that they investigated her parents and her brother, and they have no evidence that they were anything but human.
Okay.
So there is still a question mark there.
Right, of like what her deal is.
Right, because we know that Mortman in the last book was like, well, maybe a demon like pretended to be your dad. Whatever. We still have no concrete proof.
When he was being evil and creepy and he was like, I oversaw your creation or whatever.
Exactly. The council also reveals that Mortman, who, if we recall, her brother Nate's old boss, and also the Magister, has completely vanished. Like, all of his warehouses are empty, all of his properties are empty. He's just really fallen off the face of the earth.
Peter Thielcore.
Tessa also hasn't been able to shift into him. She says that she was able to, like, get a button off of his coat in their little altercation that happened. So now we get into kind of the main quest for this book. Charlotte and Henry, they are the trusted adults in this place. Even
23 years old, mind you.
Right. So they are receiving their punishment because they were like, you're the trusted adults. And also a lot of stuff did kind of fly under the radar for them that maybe shouldn't have. They jumped to conclusions that they shouldn't have. XYZ.
So now they're being punished?
They are 23 years old. They're receiving, not like punished, but receiving a scolding. Receiving a reprimand.
They're being yelled at.
Right.
Got it.
As they're receiving their punishment, Benedict Lightwood. Remember the name thing. You are...
Okay.
We're gonna have to open heart,
Keep
open
going.
mind. Benedict Lightwood, who's another shadow hunter, he is convinced that he should be the rightful Institute runner. And
how old is he?
He's like a real adult. He's older.
Okay, it does sound like he should be involved.
He's a real adult. Like, his children are teenagers, older teenagers. So he's had it out for Charlotte ever since she was appointed. He challenges Charlotte and Henry to find Mortman in 2 weeks. And that if they don't find him in 2 weeks, then they have to give control of the London Institute over to him. And the
consul's just like, yeah, sure.
The consul is basically like, he has a right to challenge you in that way. Privately, the consul tells Charlotte, hey, this guy sucks. I know, I'm sorry, but it's just politics. This guy is just too politically powerful to not let him have his way on this, but I believe in you, Charlotte.
Politically powerful? Aren't they like the heads of the government? Okay.
Yeah.
Open heart.
Yeah. Another stipulation, too, that the whole council agreed on was that Tessa, Sophie, the servant, and then Jessamine, the other girl who lived at the Institute, that they need to be trained to fight, because they were like, that would have maybe made a huge difference in the whole scuffle that
Jessamine
happened.
hasn't been trained to fight?
No, because she hates being a shadow hunter so much.
That she was just like skipping all her lessons, or what?
Yeah, Jessamine was just, they weren't making her do any of her lessons. So she wasn't doing any of the tutoring.
Let that girl go. Let her be free.
Yeah, so Will's side quest in this book starts how the last book ended. So if you remember in the epilogue, it ends where he runs over to Magnus Bane's house and he's like, you have to help me. You're the only person who can help me. And then it ends. And we don't know.
We don't know why.
We don't know why. He and Magnus have been working to raise a specific demon from Will's past that he's trying to find, but he doesn't have that much info to go off of, so it's a lot of trial and error. Like, he's like, it was blue. It was blue. Like, he kind of just has, like, visual descriptors. All Will has told Magnus is that when he was a child, he opened a box that had a demon in it. It's like the box that Nate stole, and the demon cursed him when it was released. So they are looking for that demon to take the curse away. There's clearly more to it, but he won't tell Magnus any more than that. Magnus does immediately clock that his drive to get rid of this curse has something to do with Tessa. Because he's like, you've lived with this curse for so many years at this point.
Who cares?
What would suddenly make you show up on my doorstep begging me to help you? Mm-hmm. It has to be this girl.
Okay. We have details of the curse?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. We just know as much as he has told Magnus at this time. So Sophie and Tessa, they start their fighting. They're training with the Lightwood brothers, so Benedict's two younger sons. We have Gabriel, who's Will's age, and then Gideon, who I don't know how old he is, but he is like a shadow hunter adult, so probably 19.
Okay.
Probably. Gabriel hates Will because Will humiliated his sister when they were like 12, just because his sister had a really big crush on Will, and then she kept trying to pursue Will, and Will, to finally get her to stop, he had to kind of publicly embarrass her a little bit, and then Gabriel then tried to attack Will, so then Will broke his arm.
Okay.
They were 12 years old.
Will villain era.
They were 12 years old, and at this point now they are almost 18. They were children, now they're about to be
still
adult.
have beef. I get it.
Yeah, so Gabriel hates Will. Gideon, he has returned from essentially doing Shadowhunter study abroad. It's really...
Where did he go? Ibiza?
Spain. He was in Spain. He was at the Spain Institute. It's a big... It's a thing that when the Shadowhunters turn 18, that they go and they spend some time abroad at other institutes just to kind of see the world.
A gap year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
A Rumspringa of sorts.
Right, yeah, because like I said last time, they're not really involved in larger society at all. So that is really their main way of experiencing other cultures. Tessa and Sophie learn pretty quickly by eavesdropping that Benedict sent his sons to train them as a means to spy, obviously. Although through this, we do learn that Gabriel is super loyal to his dad. He's like, Dad, we have to be loyal to our family.
That's Dada.
Our dad, exactly. And that Gideon isn't disloyal per se, but that his time abroad has maybe shown him that maybe things aren't what they seem. Maybe Dada does not know best.
Wow.
So as they start going back to our kind of main quest now, they're starting to investigate Mortman, and they come up with a theory that he had lodged a complaint against the Shadowhunters for reparations, which was what people did pre-Accords, which the Accords are the peace treaty between the Shadowhunters and the Downworlders.
Okay.
So that the Shadowhunters could not
be doing
murder
police brutality.
Exactly. Charlotte finds records that this is not only true, but that he was the adopted son of two warlocks. Since, as Will helpfully revealed to Tessa at the end of the last book, warlocks can't have kids naturally. So that kind of shows why he hates Shadowhunters so much, and is also, remember when he disappeared, he just like vanished into thin air?
Yes.
Even though he's a human, he's raised around the magical world. His warlock parents were killed by Shadowhunters after being accused of building a weapon that could destroy Shadowhunter, which sounds familiar. The initials of his warlock dad match the initials on the pocket watch that Mortman had given Tessa in their altercation, being like, I want to meet this person again, like change into this person. The initials are the same.
Okay. So she's like, that's Dada.
She's like, that's probably him. So a little bit later, Tessa is alone with Will for the first time in weeks in the library. He tries talking to her about books, because remember, they're both like book people. She does stand her ground though, and doesn't really give in to him. There is a melodramatic Will moment when talking about A Tale of Two Cities, because
not again.
They love A Tale of Two Cities. I do feel like I need to read A Tale of Two Cities.
Just to be like,
the
what
way
was
that
going on here?
Yeah, the way that they talk about it, because I'm reading the third book right now. We're still talking about Tale of Two Cities.
Oh god. Okay.
In the third book.
All right, throw it in there. Bonus up.
So Will is talking about it, and he says, there's too much despair in it. There is no future for Sydney, is there, with or without love? He knows he cannot save himself without Lucy, but to let her near him would be to degrade her. A few days later, he leaves a copy of his favorite book outside of his bedroom door with a poem written in it, and she
like for her to find.
Yeah. She hears something at her bedroom door, and she opens it.
He leaves it at her bedroom door.
He leaves her at her bedroom door. She, like, in the middle of the night, and she wakes up. He's not there, but she sees the book on the ground.
Did he write the poem? Or
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like
it's an original
It's
piece.
like to Tessa and then a poem from Will.
And do you have it for me?
I don't.
It wasn't that important?
No, it wasn't. It really wasn't that important.
Damn, okay.
But she is like, aw. But she does say, opening her heart to him even an inch was like taking a pinch of some deadly addictive drug. I am proud of her though, so far. In this moment, in the last 2 weeks, she's like, you treated me awfully. I'm not gonna let you just come back from this. So she's really holding strong. So with this information that they uncovered about Mortman, Tessa, Will, and Jem all travel to the York Institute to retrieve the full records about Mortman, because they're like, we only have the abridged version. You need the full records that are housed at the York Institute.
Okay.
Which is north of London, I believe. On the train ride there, Jem decides that they'll introduce Tessa as his fiance, because there's the issue of the guy who runs the York Institute is like ancient, very old-fashioned, and they were like, we need to come up with a reason as to why two Shadowhunters would have a presumably visibly mundane girl with them.
Can you remind me, is there a visible difference between Shadowhunters and mundanes?
Well, she wouldn't have the marks on her.
Okay, because they're all in the same place or whatever?
Yeah, they're just visible. Like, they have them, like, on their neck. They have them everywhere.
All right, okay.
So, Jem decides that they'll introduce Tessa as his fiance, who's planning to ascend as a Shadowhunter, which is something that they can do. It has been clear that Jem has been thinking about this idea beforehand, because Will is like, okay, but she'll need a ring. And he's like, no worries, I thought of that. Here it is. Here's my family ring, Tessa.
No, Jem.
Yeah, so, and when she returns it later, he was like, I like the way it looks on you.
Okay.
So Jem is plotting. So at the York Institute, the guy who runs it is ancient, and he's also a creep. Like, he was not a fan of the Accords, so he's very racist about
mundanes. Okay.
Downworlders. Tessa, like, has nothing visible marking her as a warlock, so he does not know that there is a Downworlder among them. He also confesses that he was a part of the group that killed Mortman's parents. Like, when they asked him about the records, he was like, yes, that's how it happened. I was there. In fact, I killed Mortman's dad.
Okay.
And he is very proud of it. He went into great detail about it. He thinks they deserved it. He also brings up the concept of spoils, which is the stuff that Shadowhunters would take after killing Downworlders. So he takes them to his collection of spoils, which includes fairy wings, skulls, warlock remains, etc. And he's like bragging about how much warlock parts go for on the black market.
Ew.
So far, when in this love triangle, Jem plotting, Will
working really hard to get back in her good graces.
Will is kind of trying to get back in her good graces, but Tessa is standing strong. So that's kind of where we're at.
So no points of the triangle are touching.
No, at this point in time, no. So the trio go to investigate Mortman's last known address. That's just a nearby mansion in the area. And as they scope scope it out, they realize that Mortman doesn't live there. But who lives there now? Will's family, who are supposed to be in Wales.
Okay.
They see his sister, who's now 15. Will is obviously confused. He's had no contact with them because he's not allowed to, but he is like, why are they in England and not in Wales? He tries to run after them, but Jem is able to keep him from running to them after noticing that they were being tracked by one of Mortman's automaton creature things. Clocking back in to Will's side quest. He is distraught again post York trip. He's back. He left the train in London in a, the train had barely pulled into the station and he runs away. He admits to Magnus that he's in love with Tessa. Right at this point on the train back, he got to witness Jem being like, oh, I love the way my family ring looks on your hand, Tessa.
Okay.
He admits to Magnus that he's in love with Tessa, which Magnus knew, and wants to be sent to the demon realm to find the demon himself before he loses Tessa. Magnus is like, I'm simply not going to do that, especially not without knowing what exactly this curse entails and why you're behaving this way. So Will reveals that the full curse is that all who love you will die. His older sister...
That's what I was thinking.
Yep. His older sister died the next morning, like when he opened the demon box. The demon was like, all who love you will die, and I'll prove it. And his older sister died the next morning.
Oh my god. How old was Will when he opened this box?
12.
Poor Will.
12. So
and that's why he ran off to the Shadow Hunters.
Exactly. The curse is also why he acts the way that he does, why he's such a dick to everybody.
Right, because he's like, I have to keep you away from me.
Each day I must show cruelty to those I have chosen to make my home with, lest they let themselves feel too much affection for me. The reason that he was so mean to Tessa at the end of the last book was he thought she died. She's dead anyway, so he's
like, I love her.
Yeah, so he let her see how he felt, but he had to, when he saw that she lived and then was
like ready to be
rightfully reading into that, he had to kind of think quick as to how to make her hate him. Magnus, after hearing all of this, is like, that is really intense, and he's thinking to himself, wow, this boy is really 17. And that's true.
Okay, it is true, but also that's really heavy shit.
That is, yeah.
Like, I feel for Will.
Yeah. So
why hasn't he tried to kill this demon sooner?
The demon ran off. There was really no way.
But like, I don't know.
Because he didn't really have
anybody
to kind of
for.
He didn't have anybody to kind of pull him out of the like self-hatred cycle that he was in. He had just kind of accepted that he was going to be a bad person forever.
Okay.
Yeah. Back with the rest of the group, Tessa is asked to shift into the old man who runs the York Institute using a button that she took from his coat. I don't know how she's getting these buttons. Because she got Mortman's she's getting real close and tugging real hard. Yeah, I don't really understand how this is happening.
I feel that I would notice if someone tried to swipe a button off my coat.
Yeah, maybe
she had, like, some teeny tiny little scissors.
She has a future career as a pickpocket if being a warlock doesn't work out. So yeah, they have her shift into him just to make sure that he wasn't hiding anything from them, or
right, because she can kind of like read their minds.
Yeah, and since he was directly involved, just to see if there's any other details that she can get from the day of the murder that he maybe didn't tell.
So is it like when she's in their heads, is it that other people ask her questions and then she can like answer as them and figure it out? Or when she transforms, is she just like fully that person in that person's brain, like can read all their thoughts?
They can do that. So like when she was in the Dark Sisters house, they would interview the person. But in this case, she just does it privately. She's just in her bedroom.
Okay.
His memory, it's kind of unhelpful because he's so old that there's a lot of foggy memory.
Okay.
But she does see that his memory of entering the house where Mortman grew up, and she sees that his dad was the original automaton Clockwork builder guy, and also called Mortman my Clockwork Prince. So love when the title of the book is in the story. story.
Shout out.
So Will still has not come home since he ran off the train to Magnet. So while Tessa is, at the Institute shifting and all of that's kind of an evening later, Will is still not back.
Okay.
It's been over a day at this point. Tessa gets a letter from Magnet saying that he thinks that Will is in a bad way and might do something to hurt himself. So she takes it to Jem and they're both like, we need to go find him immediately because he's left Magnus's house but has not returned home.
Okay.
So nobody really knows where he is. So she and Jem, they go to find him, but not before stopping by Will's room because they need something from his room for some tracking spell that Jem is going to do. Okay. So they need something from his room. She's never been in his room at this point. Mm-hmm. So she is just kind of, taking a look around, being like, what can I learn about Will?
Taking a gander.
From his things. And she finds that he had been reading all of the letters. I don't know if I mentioned this in the last episode. It wasn't that important to the story. But while she was held captive, she every single day would write letters to her brother that she kind of used as a diary to talk about everything that she was going through while she was being held captive. And Charlotte read them because when Tessa was first brought to the Institute, because she needed to know what happened and like if what Tessa was involved with. So she knew that Charlotte had read them and she was fine with that. But turns out that Will also got his hands on them and he was reading them too.
Oh my god.
So
invasion.
Yeah, Jem also, while he's looking, they end up finding just some knife. In his discovery and finding this knife, he also finds out that the demon poison that he relies on, it's like demon coke basically, that he relies on. Will buys it for him, and he finds, I guess, a receipt or something, and he learns that it actually costs way more than what Will told him it did. So Will has been secretly covering the difference and has not told Jem.
No, because he doesn't want Jem to love him too much, lest he die faster.
So the tracking spell leads them to a brothel / drug den.
Okay.
Essentially an opium den, but with demon and fairy drugs. They find Will high out of his mind on the demon drug that Jem uses. Jem is the most angry that anyone has ever seen him. He punches Will when they get Will outside. Later, Tessa goes to Jem's room after hearing him crashing out, destroying his violin. And he's super upset at Will for using the drug. And he says, I will die probably within the next year. I have no family in the world, and the one person I trusted more than any other made sport of what is killing me. Which, damn, understandable. Back to our love triangle development, right? We've had lots of moments throughout so far of Tessa finding herself caring about her appearance in front of Jem, or reacting to the way he says something and thinking to herself, but that's bestie Jem. Why am I thinking or feeling this?
When you say bestie Jem, to me, it's like when people it's like the Quakers saying like mother and brother and father. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Mother Ann
and the
to
Shakers.
Me, it's like bestie Jem, Mother Ann.
Exactly. Also, in these thoughts, there is a comparison to the way that Will makes her feel, but still definitely starting to have some clear reciprocation towards Jem. Jem's plotting is starting to pay off.
No, not it working. He's Jacob Blacking it all the way. God
damn.
Okay.
So she's in Jem's room, confronting him, calming him down after his crash out.
And she said, Jem, look at me. Look at me. This isn't you.
Exactly. Things do start to escalate during this moment where he confronts Tessa, saying how if he wasn't sick and was healthy, then Tessa might look at him like a normal man, and that he's upset that Tessa doesn't believe that he could even want her in that way. Tessa's like, girl, I know you want me. Tessa is clearly into when a man gets like intense, right? Because in this moment, she's like, wait.
No, girl.
And then they make out really intensely. I remember reading this in high school and being like, holy shit.
Read me the kiss scene.
As she raised her face, he brought his down, his mouth slanting across hers. And even as she froze in surprise, they were kissing. Jem. Italics. She was kissing Jem. Where Will's kisses were all fire, Jem's were like pure air after a long time of being closed up in the airless dark.
Lock in. Stay in character.
His touch, his lips were tentative, and she knew why. Unlike Will,
Not her still thinking about Will.
The gist of it also is Jem has like an insecure moment where he's like, I know that I look sickly. She does once again compare his body to Will's.
And then is like, he's as light as a bird.
He was
If somebody fucking told me I had bird bones.
The way this was going, I believe they would have had sex.
Okay.
If not for the fact that Jem's box of demon drug gets knocked over and it spills everywhere, and he's like,
no, his really expensive demon drug.
Yeah, and he's like, I cannot let you watch me scrounge around on the floor for this.
Fair enough.
Please leave. Later, as Will is telling the whole group about going to this drug den, he reveals that he noticed that it was full of werewolves that were buying buckets and buckets of the drug that Jem needs to survive. And they'd been using it enough to the point that their hair and eyes and skin were also turning silver like Jem.
Wow, okay.
And that when he talked to them, they said that they needed the drug because it pleased the Magister that the drug kept them working all night long.
Okay.
They later confirmed this with the head of the London werewolf pack, who says that he was aware of a group of werewolves who weren't a part of his pack that were doing some shady stuff, but he didn't know that they were taking the drug. He's like, I'm not De Quincey. I have no beef with you guys. However, he also points out that this will probably cause a shortage of the drug, which would be a huge problem for Jem. So Will rushes off to go get a big supply, just in case.
Okay.
Gabriel reveals during the training session, because those training sessions are still happening. Jessamine is still blowing them off, by the way. Gabriel reveals during a training session that the reason that his dad, Benedict, hates Charlotte so much is because his uncle broke the law. Her dad went to the clave about it, and then his uncle killed himself, and then his mom, who was his sister, died from grief.
Oh my god.
Gideon is like, I don't really know about that. I don't really know that that's how it actually played out. Gabriel will believe anything our dad says. And the dad only told them the story once the sons said that Charlotte wasn't doing a bad job running the institute.
Okay.
Sophie comes to Tessa's door one night saying that she has seen Jessamine sneaking out at night dressed like a man, which Tessa had also seen once but had written it off as just Jessamine being a freak.
Okay.
Sophie reveals that in Jessamine's jacket she found an invitation to a masquerade ball at Benedict Lightwood's house with a love note written on it by none other than Tessa's brother Nate.
Because Jessamine was really into Tessa's brother just because she was like, get me out of here.
But remember at the end of the last book...
Yeah, that he's evil and he sucks.
Right, and that Jessamine was like, I hate him.
Liar. She hates him, but she hates having to go to fighting practice more.
Yeah. Upon discovering the invitation and the note, Sophie knocked Jessamine unconscious. And tied her to the bed. She took that training to heart.
Yeah. Sophie's human, right?
Sophie's
completely human. She was like staff in the house.
She's the servant, but she's a human who has the sight.
Okay, girl boss.
Yeah, so they bring her in. They decide that they can't miss this opportunity to see what's going on / potentially find Mortman, because if Nate's going, then maybe he'll be there. So Tessa shifts into Jessamine.
Ew.
And goes with Will, since it's a masked ball.
Yeah.
Will will be hidden. Weirdly can't sense Jessamine's thoughts and any kind of relevant memories. So she's...
Is it because she's knocked unconscious, or like what's the vibe?
No.
Oh.
At this point, we're not sure. So she's a little bit stressed because usually those relevant memories are able to guide her through pretending to be somebody, like in that vampire club, but they decide to just go ahead anyways. So at the party, it's very clear that despite his political presentation, Benedict Lightwood very much has no problems bending the laws for himself and his friends regarding consorting with downworlders and demons.
Wow.
All kinds of creatures are in attendance, and she spots Benedict on the couch making out with a demon. And when I say demon, I don't mean like even really a humanoid creature.
Oh, he's like, getting freaky.
This is a monster. It has like 3 heads. Like the demons in this book are not like sexy humanoid.
More lips to kiss you with, my dear.
Exactly.
Okay. Love that for him.
So Nate shows up, and it's clear that he and Jessamine have had a long romantic relationship.
Oh my god.
He reveals that Benedict Lightwood knew Mortman / the Magister, and also that the Magister wants to install Benedict as head of the London Institute so that he, Mortman, essentially controls it and can destroy the council from within, while the automaton army destroys them from without. They also, and also remember that his whole plan was to basically become the King of England.
Yeah.
So this guy dreams.
Big dreams.
Dreams big. They also plan to frame Tessa for illegal possession of articles of dark magic and get her sent to the Silent City, which is run by those like monk men.
People, oh yeah, the guys with their like mouths stitched shut.
Yeah, the Silent City is essentially Shadowhunter prison. It's like beneath the earth.
Wait, the monks run the prison?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so disappointing.
Yeah, which is, it's unclear their involvement in the treatment of the prisoners. Like, the monks also live in the Silent City.
Okay.
They're not necessarily the jailers, though. So that plan is in motion actively because Jessamine, at this point, has hid some forbidden magic book in Tessa's room.
Okay.
With the idea that they would say her. Tessa has this book and it's hidden in her floorboards. He and Jessamine had been secretly married. Like, at some point...
Wait, so that's his wife? Wow.
Yeah. Like, he whispers in her ear, Jessamine Grey. Kinda.
Ew!
Yeah.
And it's his sister's ear.
Yeah. Tessa is obviously taking all of this in. Right. Nate is gone, but she's very flustered. So she and Will go outside on this balcony, especially after Will points out that the shock of this information made her change back into herself.
Oh my god.
So he's like, let's get you outside really quick. She and Will have a very steamy 4YA exchange on this balcony.
Okay.
Do you want me to read it to you?
Yes.
Okay.
Read me an excerpt, please. And wait, so he doesn't know that she's also made out with Jem, right?
No, these two boys do not communicate, like, what they are thinking about Tessa to each other.
For no reason.
Literally at all. She's, like, the one thing that they don't talk about.
Okay.
And Will, with a sigh of something like defeat, kissed her. His lips were soft. So soft. He had kissed her before, wildly and desperately and tasting of blood, but this was different, saying with the brush of his lips on hers what he could not say in words, each saying she was precious, irreplaceable, wanting. So they have a very steamy makeout session until some random old women walk in on them on the balcony.
And they're scandalized?
And they say, I told you this is what happens when you drink the pink drinks. And Magnus Bane appears right after saying, let me guess, you had the lemonade. It was fairy lemonade. Magnus is having a great time being like, oh my god, Tessa, your boobs are out.
Oh my god, girl.
But he's actually there because one of Lady Belcourt's subjugates was there and recognized Will and Tessa and was like, you guys need to skedaddle.
Okay.
Magnus gets them out of the building using magic, but when they get to the road at the entrance of the mansion, there are two demons rocking up to join the party. They're there like they're monsters, but they're in suit and tie. Will points at one and screams at it and chases it, and they both disappear into the night.
Okay.
Tessa is like, we need to go after them. But Magnus, who obviously knows what this is about, and because of his side quest with Will, is like, no, he's a shadow hunter. This is his job. Let him do his thing. Will returns to Magnus's later that night with the demon's tooth so they can conjure it back up. Magnus has a really interesting personal relationship with Will, where other characters in Magnus's life will be like, so are you in love with Will? And he's like, no.
Okay.
It's really interesting.
So, bisexual king?
Oh, he is.
Oh, okay.
He is like a
love
ancient, like, queer character.
Sure,
but
goes both ways.
something really interesting, though, is in the main series, he, like, meets who becomes his husband, and this person looks exactly like Will. Like, he has, like, black hair, blue eyes kind of thing.
Love.
He is technically related to Will.
Okay, so he has a type.
He has a type, but it is interesting. It feels very Jacob being like, oh, the only reason that I felt this way about you, Bella, was because
of your egg?
Because of Renesmee. Back at the Institute, Tessa and Sophie let Jessamine, who has now woken up from being tied to the bed, they let her know that the jig is up.
Yeah.
She's obviously upset. Tessa scolds her for not seeing that Nate is using her and is not in love with her. And in retaliation, Jessamine immediately clocks her for being torn between Will and Jem. She's like, well, at least I'm not in whatever pathetic situation you're in right now. She also admits, so what if Mortman wants to destroy the Shadow Hunters of Britain? I say let them burn.
So what if he's the devil, Rick? At least the devil has a job.
Exactly. Unfortunately for Jessamine, Charlotte and Brother Enoch, one of the monk guys, were behind the door and heard the confession. So after questioning her with the mortal sword and confirming what Nate had said, she has sent down to the Silent City jail.
Bye, girl.
Because Mortman put some block in her mind, preventing her from revealing where he is or any other secrets. So that's why Tessa wasn't able to see in her mind earlier.
Okay.
They're asking her questions with the mortal sword and she isn't able to answer truthfully. So when you lie, it causes you a lot of pain with the mortal sword. So they're like, let's just take her down there and see if we can figure out if we can remove whatever he did to her. She also reveals that Tessa's mom was allegedly a shadow hunter.
Why do all these people have like the most random tidbits of info about her mother?
Right, which it would be impossible because any baby born between a warlock and a shadow hunter is always a stillborn. So
what?
So they're like, that's just really...
Wait, that's so fucked up.
Yeah, so they're like, that's really not possible. Tessa and Jem head off to the Silent City. They go down there to get some more info from Jessamine. And Tessa and Jem's relationship has been strained for a bit. They haven't really interacted much post-makeout because she's freaked out thinking that he thinks she's a slut. He's stressed that she thinks he's a slut. So they haven't spoken or really even looked at each other. It's also unclear how many days it has been since this happened. Sometimes so much will have happened and they'll be like, this all happened in the span of 12 hours. So it's kind of unclear.
Love a muddled timeline.
How long it's been. In the carriage ride over to the Silent City, Jem gets a little bit upset about Tessa referring to them as friends. And in this moment, she thinks that she could only think of taking his pain away, of making him feel less hurt. So she's very much, her motivations for Jem...
Jacob Conn.
Her motivations for Jem are just, I want to make him feel better. And they both realize in that carriage that they've been slut-shaming themselves, and then they make out again in the carriage. And all is well between them again. They get to Jessamine, and she is really lost in the sauce. Like, whatever, she's coming to terms with being lied to, and then also whatever questioning she's been through at this point. And she's convinced that betraying them for Nate was all worth it and that he loves her and he will definitely come for her once Mortman wins. They're able to convince her that to help them will hopefully get her leniency from the Clave, so she tells them where she's been going off to dressed as a man to meet Nate.
Forgot about that.
So the plan is for Tessa to meet Nate, posed as Jessamine, to figure out where Mortman is, since, again, we have that timeline of 2 weeks, and it's unclear how many days it's been at this point.
Honestly, I forgot about that.
Right, so I wanted to bring us back to that.
Thank you.
Yeah, that there is a sense of urgency that we need to find Mortman because we only have 2 weeks. Jessamine is not able to say where Mortman is. Like, that's the one answer she is just physically incapable of revealing. Tessa will be dressed in boy clothes, and the meeting spot is in one of Mortman's warehouses. So when the first group gets there, it's empty except for a dying werewolf who had clearly been a part of the group of werewolves working for Mortman. Like, he was just dying of like a drug overdose. Okay. Yeah. He dies pretty quickly, but he does mention something about building metal men. So pretty clear what was going on there. Tessa as Jessamine arrives just as Nate does, but he immediately is like, I know that you are Tessa. He reveals it like when he got a note saying that he needed to go meet Mortman at the ball. That was actually from Will just trying to get Nate to leave, and he was like, I knew there was trickery afoot, so I knew it was you, Tessa.
Okay.
So they start arguing, and while they're arguing, he reveals that their aunt, which if you recall, he killed her.
Yeah, with the box of chocolate.
That their aunt was actually his mom. And he found that out back when he found their mom's diary pages when he was looking for maybe jewelry that he could sell to pay off his debt. Found the diary pages with like the whole story kind of thing. Damn. The fact that the aunt never admitted to him is why he killed her. because she never claimed him as her son.
All right. Sorry, she was a woman in the Victorian era.
Exactly. A fight breaks out between just like the whole group and these giant automatons that Mortman wasn't using, but Nate was using for his own purposes. And the fight ultimately leads to Tessa killing Nate.
Okay.
By shifting into him and commanding an automaton to kill the real Nate.
Rock on.
Yeah. Will is severely injured after he throws himself over Tessa to protect her from another automaton that he made explode. Despite this, Tessa still got a bad head wound at some point, and they both end up in the infirmary. While Tessa is in the infirmary, she goes in and out of consciousness over the course of, I think, several days, unsure. We see some just in and out snippets. One of them being while Will is getting the metal shards removed from his back and is obviously in immense pain. Tessa is secretly watching, being like, oh my god, I think he's naked under that bedsheet. I've never seen a naked man before.
Oh my god.
And is just fully thirsting over
her horned up when he's in pain.
Yeah, she's like, wait, he looks so sexy right now.
Okay.
Even though he's suffering, she's like, the way that his muscles...
The way he's screaming.
She's like, the way that his muscles are contracting right now. So speaking of Will, back to him and his demon quest. He's fine now.
Okay.
Magnus has...
All the shards are out of his back or whatever.
Yeah, that was really all that was wrong with him. So once they had those sealed up, he's fine. Magnus has summoned Will because he was able to successfully raise the demon that cursed Will using the tooth from earlier. As the demon is confirming to Will that he indeed cursed him so that all who love him will die, Magnus is like, something is not adding up here. I think you faked this curse. His reasoning was that the demon had been trapped in this box for like 20 years. Mm-hmm. So there's no shot that upon his immediate release that he would have been strong enough to cast a curse like that.
Oh, okay.
So the curse was proven to Will by his older sister dying the following morning, which led Will to flee. The demon is like, yeah, I did make it up. Your sister died because I stung her with my tail.
Okay.
So, like, he stung her and knew that the sister was gonna die shortly anyway. So he just made up that... And Will was 12.
Yeah.
Will was a child.
Poor Will.
Yeah. Will is simultaneously relieved.
And then obviously
also crashing out because he's like, I spent the last 5 years being awful to everyone, including the girl that he loves, because he thought this curse was real when it was fake the entire time. Magnus is like, honestly, I don't think your act worked on any of them anyways. I think they all care about you in spite of how awful you were to them. Also, you are literally 17. You have so much life to live. It will be fine. Go get your girl. And he sends Will on his way.
Nice.
So back at the Institute, Jem has come to Tessa's room to speak with her. She's not in the infirmary anymore.
Okay. Oh no.
Sorry, I just need a minute. Back at the Institute, Jem has come to Tessa's room to speak with her. He's like, if things don't go our way and Benedict Lightwood takes the Institute, because I think at this point they maybe had like 2 days left.
Okay.
Maybe even less. He's like, if things don't go our way, Benedict would not let you continue to live here like Charlotte is, and you wouldn't be allowed into Idris, which, did I tell you about Idris last time? I don't think so. The Shadowhunter country in Europe that like humans can't see, but they just always say that it's somewhere like in Central Europe by like Germany.
Okay. And it's like a safety, like it's like a safe land for her to be in potentially.
No, she's not allowed there.
Okay.
She's not allowed there. Like only Shadowhunters can go there.
But is it like a safe place for them, or is it just like a place they live?
For Shadowhunters?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's like heavily warded so that only Shadowhunters can be there.
All right.
So he asks her to marry him.
Because he's like, you can stay here if you're my wife.
He also confesses to being in love with her, which is very nice. Since being in love with her, he's been sick way less. But he's also like, I'm not going to live very long, so I want to spend the rest of my short life married to you.
Whoa.
Now, he does add, if you love me too. Like, he only wants Tessa to say yes if she also... reciprocates his feeling. Yikes. To which Tessa thinks to herself, while his eyes are full of love and hope, right? She thinks to herself, and why should he not hope? She had given him every reason to believe she loved him. And if there was some small locked away part of herself that had not quite given up Will, surely she owed it to herself as much as to Jem to do whatever she could to destroy it.
Oh my god.
So she doesn't say she loves him, but she does agree to marry him. Although I will concede that she thinks to herself that she doesn't know what it means to be in love with someone. So it doesn't necessarily mean that she doesn't love him now or couldn't love him later.
Okay.
All of the events thus far that I have told you have been over the course of 11 days. And Charlotte is ready to throw in the towel. We are no closer to finding him than we were before. Sophie is able to convince her not to by revealing that she's been dating Gideon Lightwood.
Oh my god.
The older brother, who over the course of the book, his interactions with her, he has revealed that in his study abroad time in Spain, that showed him how messed up his dad was, and that the things that his dad were doing were wrong. Bending the rules for thee, not for me kind of thing. Gideon told Sophie that if they gave up, it plays into Mortman's plans, and he also found out what Mortman is holding over his dad. Benedict Lightwood has a demon STD called demon pox, which is a big thing because Will, over like the whole last book, would joke about demon pox, and everyone would say, Will, don't be silly, demon pox doesn't exist. So Will is feeling really vindicated at this information. He has demon pox. And Mortman told him that he has the cure. And so he has been giving him medication that has kind of been holding off the symptoms. After hearing the symptoms, Jem puts 2 and 2 together that Benedict's wife, who he claims killed herself because of Charlotte's dad causing the uncle to kill himself, etc., etc., actually killed herself because Benedict gave her demon pox. Because when he was in the Silent City, he saw her cause of death. Knowing all of this tea, they plan to confront Benedict with this as blackmail to get him to withdraw the challenge. This plan works, although Benedict kicks Gideon out of the house for betraying him. Gabriel stays loyal to his father. Gideon comes to live with everyone else at the Institute, which I'm not sure why he doesn't just go back to Spain. But he, I guess, is deciding to stay in London and is staying with everyone else at the Institute and is joining our crew. When Jem proposed, Will was not there.
Yes.
Will came back for the demon pox revelation. But since returning from Magnus's, Will has been a new person. Confusing everybody because everyone's like, you're in a good mood. Yeah, like what is happening? He tries multiple times to get Tessa alone, being like, can we talk? But something got in the way each time. He is successful when they return from their meeting with Benedict to blackmail him. Tessa is very confused when he kisses her because she thought he wanted to meet because he expected an apology for getting injured while saving her.
Okay.
He is as confused as I think you and I are.
Okay, girl.
But he's like, no, actually, I love you and have since the moment I met you. She's once again confused because from her perspective, he's been so hot and cold and mean and nice. And he fills her in about the curse, his work with Magnus, all of that. And while he's confessing, she thinks to herself, this was what she had always wanted someone to say, which she had always in the darkest corner of her heart wanted Will to say. Will, the boy who loved the same books as she did, who made her laugh even when she was furious. And here he was standing in front of her, telling her he loved the words of her heart, telling her something she would never be told again, not in this way, and not by him, and it didn't matter. She tells him it's too late, because Jem had proposed. It had literally been that morning. He was too late. It's too late.
Girl, I feel like you could just be like, hey, just kidding.
So.
But you know what? That's smart. Security first, girly.
So Will is shaken. And at first is like, he never said anything to me about you in this way. Maybe he'd understand if we told him. And she entertains this for a second, but she is also like, I cannot be the reason that the two of them separate. And also, even if she broke things off with Jem for him, Will would feel too guilty. So then she'd basically lose both of them, and then they'd lose each other.
Oh my god.
So she forces herself to be just very detached and says, this morning he told me he thought he would die without ever loving anyone as his father loved his mother. Do you want me to go down the hallway and knock on his door and take that away from him? And would you love me still if I did?
Gagged.
And Will understands this.
Yeah.
He's like, yep, you're absolutely right. He is just like, promise me you love him enough to make him happy, and please don't tell him that this transpired.
Also, not to be like morbid, but only like a year or two.
Right. He leaves.
That's like nothing.
He leaves after she won't tell him that she loves him back. But he leaves and she intentionally burns herself using a fire poker because she needs to cry about the situation and isn't able to. He leaves and she's so upset that she
God,
like
she
self-harms.
Girl. Oh.
Yeah.
I know the Tumblr girlies ate that one up.
Will goes to Jem's room initially wanting to try to talk him out of it, but also knowing that he agreed with Tessa and he just could never do that to him. Jem not only tells Will he's in love with Tessa, but also he thinks that the reason that Will saved Tessa was because he had detected Jem's feelings for her. Being like, you saved her for me.
I aspire to be that level of delusional.
Will
Beautiful.
Yeah, Will plays along and is like, yep, for sure. Regardless of that, though, being with him makes him realize that Tessa was right and he loves Jem too much to hurt him that way.
Yeah.
So he's like, I will just deal with it. The group rounding out the other main quest. The group meet with the council where Benedict follows through on his promise to get the whole thing thrown out. At this meeting, a swarm of bug automaton camera things fly in.
Okay.
So it's possible now that Mortman knows what transpired in the council. That Benedict betrayed him, all of that.
All right.
The old guy who runs the York Institute comes up to Tessa expressing worry about her and if the bug things hurt her, which she finds really strange. Especially because when she shifted into him earlier to see if he was hiding anything, she saw in his memory of meeting her that he was really startled to see her.
Okay.
So she was like, I don't really know what's going on with him and me and his perception of me. I'm not entirely sure why he's expressing such concern for me as if he has a personal connection to me. Wrapping up, Tessa and Jem announce their engagement to the group at dinner. Before doing this, Tessa is repeating to herself that she's marrying Jem to get herself to not care about Will, which does not work.
Yeah.
Will is still outwardly supportive of their engagement and gives a little speech at the dinner. Charlotte immediately announces that she's pregnant. So everyone's like, great news, yay. Finally, because not enough was happening at this dinner.
Definitely not.
The doorbell rings and the servants say a Nephilim Shadowhunter is there to see them. It is none other than Will's younger sister, Cecily, who says she has come to be trained as a Shadowhunter.
Wow.
The end. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts now?
I'm kind of rooting for Jem a little bit. As someone who, when I reread the Twilight Saga, really feels for Jacob Black. Because he loves her so much.
Mm-hmm. Except Jem, I don't feel like is malicious. Which, Jacob, I don't know. Not malicious,
I think
but
Stephanie
Jem...
does character assassination in Jacob. I don't think he's malicious either. Especially not in New Moon.
Yeah,
in New Moon, he's genuine.
Jem has purer intentions, I think, than Jacob. My issue with Jem is he is just so... He's a little bit delusional.
Yeah.
We'll talk about my full thoughts about Jem when the series is over.
Okay.
But for now, up until this point, the part where he tells Will that he believes that the reason that Will saved Tessa could only have been because he somehow knew of Jem's feelings for Tessa and he saved Tessa for Jem, that could have been the only reason. Like, when once again...
You know what? Dream big, buddy.
I know, when once again, every single person in the house has had a conversation with Tessa about Will. Being like, I see what's going on here, and you guys, like, this shouldn't happen because Will's a dick. Jem is the only one.
God forbid a man can't read a room.
And also the fact that neither of them have talked to each other about her. I can maybe understand Will not talking to Jem about her, but the only conversation they ever have...
Right, like, you would think Jem would be trying to talk about her to Will.
Yeah.
To be like, love her so much.
Yeah. The only conversation they ever have in that capacity about Tessa before this point is in the first book where Jem makes a comment about thinking Tessa is pretty. And he's like, I think she's pretty and I think you think she's pretty too. That's it.
Yeah, you would think that these boys would be like talking about their feelings just a little bit. And also the fact that they're both not talking about it would imply that they know about the other person's feelings.
Yeah. But it is a shock.
I mean, I guess we're the fools for expecting them to communicate.
Yeah. Do you have any predictions for anything moving forward? Either the love triangle or any of the, like, Tessa, like, the actual plot?
I think probably she goes through with marrying Jem and then he dies, as he is wont to do.
Yeah.
And then she gets with Will. But I kind of feel like the reverse could happen and Jem, like, miraculously lives. Like a My Sister's Keeper plot and Will dies to save them or something.
Yeah.
But that would just be so sad for Will. But I don't know, I'm excited for him to experience familial love again for the first time. That'll be huge for him. I feel like Tessa's, maybe it's just the things we care about, but like, she kind of bores me. And I don't feel like she had that much development in this book.
No. There's less development over the course of this book because it's really all only over the course of 12 days.
Yeah.
I will say, when these books originally came out, I read the first 2 books, and then I was so annoyed at the end that I did not finish it. I did not read the 3rd book until about 4 years ago.
Whoa, that's huge for you.
Because it pissed me off so bad. I was
oh my
like,
god.
I can't.
Wait, that's so funny because then the 3rd book clearly resolves it in a way that you like enough. Oh no.
Yeah.
You were your own worst enemy.
I'm really excited to wrap this up.
Are there movies of these ones?
No. I think that this one would be a really great TV adaptation.
Yeah.
Personally. But no, I honestly hope that she never lets anyone near it ever again, because
after what happened,
the movie of the main series, so special to me, but awful, objectively. The show, worse, somehow. I would love a BBC miniseries of this trilogy. I really only trust
that it takes them like 7 years to make or whatever. I agree.
Yeah, where it's like 3 seasons with 3 1-hour-long episodes per season.
Exactly.
Kind of vibe. That I think is really the only formatting that would work.
Okay.
Stay tuned for the grand finale of the Infernal Devices trilogy. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye. Bye.